The ship hummed quietly as it approached the blue planet. Inside, 4 students from different worlds sat nervously, each checking their human disguises one last time. The Earth stood out against the black of space, swirling with white clouds and blue oceans. It looked peaceful from up here. Simple, harmless. "Remember," Professor Dorn said, his voice stern as he adjusted his own human mask, "Earth is classified as a Level 2 world. They have basic space travel but know nothing of the wider galaxy. Your job is to study, not to interfere." Vex nodded, his new human face feeling strange as he moved it. He had studied the files carefully. Humans were interesting but primitive. His people had moved past physical bodies thousands of years ago. Playing human would be like wearing a heavy, clumsy suit. "I still don't see why we need to study them at all," Trell said, looking at his 5-fingered hands with disgust. On his home world, his kind had 8 tentacles, not these strange stick-like limbs. "They're barely out of their caves." Mole bounced in her seat, her eyes wide with wonder. Unlike the others, she had chosen a shorter human form with light hair, but that's what makes them so fascinating. They're young, fresh. Their world has so many different life forms to study. Ren said nothing, but watched the planet grow larger in the window. There was something about Earth that called to her. The reports said it was a harsh world with extreme weather, strong gravity, and dangerous animals. Yet humans not only lived there but built cities and art and music. How strange they must be. The landing was smooth. Their ship, hidden by technology no human could detect, settled in a remote area. A transport would take them to their new home. A special building at a place called Western State University, where they would live among human students. "Your human guides will meet you tomorrow," Professor Dorn explained as they entered their new rooms. "Until then, practice your human behaviors. Remember to blink. Remember to show emotion on your face. And most important, never reveal what you really are." That night, the 4 students gathered in Vex's room to share their thoughts. "The gravity is so heavy here," Trell complained. "And the air is full of tiny organisms. It's disgusting." "I find it exciting," Maul said. "Did you know humans eat other life forms for energy? They put them right into their bodies. I can't wait to try it." "Don't get too excited," Vex warned. "We're here to observe and learn, not to go native, as humans say." Ren looked out the window at the campus. Human students walked below, laughing and talking. "I wonder what they dream about," she said softly. "What do beings on such a young world hope for?" The next morning, they met their guides. Jack was tall with a friendly smile, studying what humans called engineering. Lisa had short, dark hair and quick eyes, focused on biology. Tom was quiet but seemed to notice everything, a student of history. "Welcome to USU," Jack said, shaking their hands in the strange human greeting custom. "We're part of the International Student Program. We'll help you adjust to American campus life." The aliens followed their guides around the campus. They saw the large buildings where learning happened. They visited the cafeteria where humans gathered to consume their energy sources. They watched humans play with balls on green fields, running and jumping with strange energy. "They're so physical," Vex whispered to Mole. "Everything they do involves their bodies." "And loud," Trell added. "They make so much noise." Ren watched a group of humans lifting heavy metal objects over and over in a special room. They deliberately stressed their bodies to make them stronger, she noted. How unusual. As the day ended, Professor Dorn gathered them again. "Remember why we're here," he said. "The Galactic Council needs information about all developing worlds. Earth is just one of many in our study. Keep your focus. Keep your distance. And above all, keep your secret." But as they settled into their new lives, none of them realized that Earth held secrets of its own. Secrets that would change everything they thought they knew about the galaxy and about themselves. The first week of classes left the alien students confused and amazed. They sat in large rooms with many humans, all writing notes as older humans talked about Earth knowledge. It seemed so simple compared to the learning pods back home, where knowledge flowed directly into the mind. They learned so slowly. Trell said one evening as they gathered in their shared living space. Today I watched humans memorize chemical formulas by repeating them over and over. My people would absorb such basic science before hatching. Vex nodded, but his eyes showed interest. True, but have you noticed how they question everything? In my physics class, a student asked why a theory works, not just how to use it. The teacher seemed pleased, not offended. Mole returned from the cafeteria carrying a tray of food items. Look what I got. The humans call it pizza and ice cream. Their food is so strange. They mix different life forms together and heat them. Ren took a small bite of the pizza and her eyes widened. The flavors, they're so strong. Earth food contains so many chemicals that would be poison on other worlds. Yet humans not only ate them but enjoy them. As days passed, they spent more time with their human guides. Jack took them to something called a football game, where thousands of humans gathered to watch others chase an object across a field. I don't understand, Vex whispered as the crowd roared around them. Why do they yell so loud? Why do they care who moves the ball? It's about competition, Jack explained, his face painted in school colors. It's in our nature. We love to see who's strongest, fastest, best. Lisa showed them the biology labs where she studied. This is where we learn about life, she said, showing them clear boxes full of small creatures. These mice help us understand how our bodies work. You experiment on other life forms? Mole asked, trying to hide her shock. On her world, all life was connected in the Great Web. No being would use another this way. Of course, Lisa said with a shrug. How else would we learn? Before we test medicines on humans, we need to know they're safe. The most surprising things happened in what humans called free time. The aliens watched as students willingly put themselves in danger, climbing tall walls with only ropes to hold them, jumping from high places into water, even fighting each other in special rooms while wearing protective gear. They hurt themselves for fun, Trell said, watching two humans box in the campus gym. It makes no sense. Tom overheard him. It's not about the pain, he explained. It's about pushing limits. Humans have always tested themselves against nature and each other. It's how we grow. Later that night, they watched human entertainment on the television. The stories shocked them. Humans imagined worlds where they fought monsters, survived disasters, and explored dangerous places. They seemed to enjoy being afraid. These creatures are strange, Vex said as they watched a horror movie. They seek out fear when real dangers already exist all around them. Ren had been quiet most of the evening. Finally, she spoke. I've been studying their history. Did you know they've had wars where millions died? They've survived plagues that killed large parts of their population. Their planet has weather that destroys entire cities. Yet they keep building, keep having children, keep moving forward. They're primitive but tough, Trell admitted reluctantly. I watched a human in my class continue writing notes despite bleeding from a cut on his hand. He noticed it but didn't seem concerned. Professor Dorn entered their room, looking worried. The council wants your first reports tomorrow. Remember to focus on their technology levels only. We're not here to study their biology or psychology. But Professor, Mall said, their biology and psychology are fascinating. They eat things that would kill us. They breathe air full of microbes. They seem to enjoy pain and fear in certain amounts. That is not our concern, Dorn said firmly. Earth is classified as non-threatening because their technology is primitive. That's all the council cares about. As he left, the four students looked at each other. For the first time, they all shared the same thought. What if the council was measuring the wrong things? What if human strength wasn't in their machines, but in themselves? It happened during a simple biology lab. Mold stood next to Lisa, watching her mix chemicals in a small glass dish. The room smelled sharp and clean. This is a basic toxin test, Lisa explained. We're checking how these cells react to different substances. Mole nodded, fascinated by the primitive but clever methods humans used. Without direct neural connections to their equipment, they had to observe with just their eyes. Lisa turned away to help another student. In that moment, Mole's curiosity got the better of her. She leaned closer to examine the dish and accidentally knocked over a small bottle. The liquid inside splashed onto her human hand. "Oh," she said softly, more surprised than worried. She quickly wiped it off with a cloth, not wanting to draw attention to her mistake. A few minutes later, her hand began to tingle, then burn, then throb with pain. Mole recognized the feeling. Her real body inside the human disguise was reacting to something in the chemical. According to her species biology database, this substance should be deadly to most galactic life forms. She excused herself and hurried to find the others. Vex was in the library with Tom, reading old history books about human wars. "Vex," she whispered urgently, "I need help." He saw her distress and made an excuse to Tom before following her outside. "What happened?" he asked when they were alone. "I was exposed to a toxin in the lab," she explained, showing him her reddened hand. "It's something called hydrochloric acid. It should have killed me instantly, but it only hurts." Vex's eyes widened. "That's not possible. Our database shows that substance is lethal to 14 different life forms. But humans use it in their school labs," Mole said. "Students handle it wearing only thin gloves." They found Professor Dorn in his office, entering data into his hidden communication device. His face turned grave when they told him what happened. "You should be dead," he said bluntly to Mole. "This is very concerning." "Why?" she asked. "Isn't it good that I'm alive?" "It means our data on Earth is wrong," he said. "If humans regularly handle substances that would kill most intelligent species, what else have we misunderstood about them?" He ordered Mole to remain in her room for observation. But she couldn't sit still, not with this discovery burning in her mind. Meanwhile, Vex returned to the library where Tom was waiting. "Is your friend okay?" Tom asked. "Yes, just feeling sick," Vex lied. Then he pointed to the book they'd been studying. "These human wars, the conditions the soldiers lived in. How did they survive?" Tom shrugged. "Humans are tough. In World War I, soldiers lived in trenches filled with mud and disease for years. In World War II, some survived weeks at sea on little water after their ships sank. But the cold, the hunger, the injuries. We adapt," Tom said simply. "It's what we do best." Later that night, the 4 alien students met secretly in Ren's room. Mole's hand was better, showing only a slight mark where the acid had touched. "I've been researching," Ren said quietly. "Earth's gravity is 1.4 times higher than the galactic average for habitable planets. Their oxygen levels are considered toxic on 7 worlds. Their sun produces radiation that would require protective shields on most planets. And yet they walk around with bare skin exposed to their sun," Trell added, sounding impressed despite himself. Vex paced the small room. "I checked our mission brief again. Earth was classified as non-threatening because their space technology is basic and their weapons are primitive compared to ours. No one thought to check if the humans themselves were dangerous," Mole said, looking at her healing hand. "We need to know more," Ren decided. "The Council's classification system only measures technology level, not biological capabilities. What if that's a mistake?" "Professor Dorn won't approve more tests," Trell pointed out. "He's already suspicious after Mole's accident." Vex looked at each of his friends. "Then we do it without his approval. We need to know the truth about humans." "How?" Mole asked. "We design our own experiments," Vex said. "Small tests to compare human abilities to our own. Nothing dangerous, nothing they'll notice, but enough to get real data." "That's against our orders," Trell reminded them. "Yes," Ren agreed. "But what if our orders are based on bad information? What if the Council is wrong about Earth?" They all fell silent, thinking about what that would mean. If humans were far more dangerous than anyone realized, the galaxy needed to know. But some would see that knowledge as a reason to fear humans, not understand them. Tomorrow, Vex said finally. We start tomorrow. The four aliens began their secret research the next day. Each took on different tasks based on their strengths. Mole focused on human biology, Vex on their history, Trell on their physical abilities, and Ren on their psychology. Mole joined Lisa's study group for extra biology sessions. They sat in the campus coffee shop surrounded by books and tablets. Humans have such strange bodies, Mole said carefully, trying to sound casual. What makes you different from other animals? Lisa thought for a moment. Well, we're not the strongest or fastest, but we have amazing endurance. Humans can literally run prey to death. We keep going when other animals must rest. Really? How is that possible? We sweat, Lisa explained. Most animals pant to cool down, which means they have to stop moving. We can cool our bodies while still running. Plus, we can go days with little food or water if we must. Our bodies are built to survive. Meanwhile, Vex convinced Tom to help him with a cultural project about human survival stories. I'm particularly interested in how humans live through things that should kill them, Vex explained. Tom's eyes lit up. Oh, I have the perfect books for you. He showed Vex stories of humans who survived impossible situations, a woman who lived after falling from an airplane, a man who cut off his own arm when trapped under a rock, children who lived through weeks lost in wilderness, people who survived despite terrible injuries, extreme cold, or deadly heat. These can't all be true, Vex said, shocked. Everyone is documented, Tom assured him. Humans can endure almost anything if they have to. It's like our bodies refuse to give up. Trell's approach was more direct. He joined the university gym and challenged humans to simple contests, lifting weights, running, holding breath underwater. He carefully recorded their performance compared to his own, making sure to hold back to appear normal. You're pretty strong for a skinny guy, Jack commented after Trell deliberately lost an arm wrestling match. Not really, Trell said. You humans are surprisingly powerful. Jack laughed. Wait until you see the serious athletes. I'm nothing special. Ren's task was perhaps the most difficult. She needed to understand how human minds worked. She joined a psychology class and listened carefully as the professor discussed human reactions to stress. The human mind can endure remarkable trauma and recover, the professor explained. While we can be psychologically damaged by our experiences, we also show incredible resilience. That evening, the aliens gathered to share what they had learned. They looked at each other with growing concern. Their bodies can heal from injuries that would kill us, Mole reported. Their immune systems fight off millions of microbes daily. They even have helpful bacteria living inside them. Their physical strength is beyond what their muscle mass should allow, Trell added, and their endurance is unlike anything in the galactic records. I watched humans run for hours without stopping. Their history is filled with survival against impossible odds, Vex said. And they celebrate these stories. They admire those who endure pain and hardship. Ren had been quiet, but now she spoke. The most frightening thing is their adaptability. Humans can live in almost any environment on their planet, from burning deserts to frozen mountains. No other species in our records can do that without technology. They fell silent, considering the implications. Finally, Vex spoke what they were all thinking. The Council's classification system is dangerously wrong. It only measures technological advancement, not biological or psychological capabilities. By those measures, humans might be the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. Should we tell Professor Dorn? Mole asked. Not yet, Trell cautioned. Something doesn't feel right. Why would the Council ignore such obvious data? It's like they didn't want to know. Or they already know and kept it secret, Ren suggested quietly. The thought hung in the air, disturbing and heavy. If the Council knew about human capabilities but classified Earth as harmless anyway, what was their real purpose here? A sudden knock at the door made them all jump. They quickly hid their notes and research. Vex opened the door to find Tom standing there, an old book in his hands. "Hey, I found that survival story you asked about," he said, then paused, looking at their faces. "Is everything okay?" "Yes, just studying," Vex said too quickly. Tom handed him the book, but his eyes were thoughtful. "You know, you guys ask a lot of strange questions about humans, almost like you've never met any of us before." The aliens froze, exchanging quick glances. Had they been discovered already? The room fell silent. 4 pairs of alien eyes stared at Tom, who stood in the doorway with a curious expression on his face. "We're just very interested in human culture," Vex said carefully. "Where we come from, things are different." Tom smiled. "You mean Finland, right? That's what you told everyone. But I don't think that's true." Trell moved forward, his body tense. "What are you saying?" Tom held up his hands. "Relax. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just noticed things. The way you react to normal stuff. How you never talk about your homes. How you ask questions about basic human things." "We're just foreign students," Mole insisted. Tom shook his head. "No, you're something else." He took a deep breath. "Are you? Not from this planet." The silence lasted several seconds. Then Ren spoke, her voice calm. "Why would you think that?" "Because I pay attention. I study history, remember, including all those crazy alien theories people have. Most are nonsense, but sometimes," he shrugged, "sometimes I wonder." The aliens looked at each other, silently debating what to do. Finally, Vex nodded. "Close the door," he told Tom. When they were all seated, Vex spoke carefully. "You're right. We're not from Earth. We're students, sent to study your world." Tom's eyes widened, but he didn't look afraid. Instead, he seemed excited. "I knew it. This is amazing. Are there many other species out there? Do you have faster-than-light travel? What do you really look like?" "Slow down," Ren said. "We've broken our most important rule by telling you this. No one can know we're here." "I won't tell anyone," Tom promised. "But why are you studying us? Are you planning to invade or something?" Trell laughed. "Invade? Why would we bother? Your technology is primitive." "Then what's your interest in us?" Tom asked. Mole leaned forward. "We were sent to study your technology and development level. But we found something much more interesting. You humans yourselves." For the next hour, they explained their discoveries about humans, how remarkable human bodies were, how unusual their psychology, how different from other species they'd encountered. "So we're space monsters," Tom said with a grin. "Cool." "Not monsters," Ren corrected. "Just extremely well adapted. Your planet is harsh by galactic standards. It made you strong." Tom nodded thoughtfully. "Makes sense. Earth has tried to kill us since we evolved. We had to get tough or die out." He looked at them with new curiosity. "So what happens now? With your research, I mean." The aliens exchanged uncomfortable glances. "We're not sure," Vex admitted. "Our professor wants standard reports on your technology. But we've discovered something much more important. The Council's system for classifying species is flawed. It only measures technology, not biological capability." "That sounds dangerous," Tom noted. "If you underestimate a species because their tech isn't advanced." "Exactly," Trell agreed. "By our standard measures, Earth is harmless. But if humans decided to fight..." He didn't finish the thought. Tom was quiet for a moment. "You know what this means, right? I can help you. I can show you things about humans that outsiders would never see." The aliens hadn't expected this. "Why would you help us?" Mole asked. "Because it matters that you get it right," Tom said simply. "If your people misunderstand humans, bad things could happen. Either you'll underestimate us, or you'll see us as a threat when we're not." Before they could respond, there was another knock at the door. This time it was Professor Dorn. his face stern. "What is this human doing here?" he demanded when he saw Tom. "He knows about us," Vex said. "He figured it out." Dorn's face paled. "This is a disaster. We must report this breach immediately." "No," Ren said firmly. "He can help us. Our research is finding things the Council missed about humans. Important things." "What research?" Dorn asked sharply. "You were ordered to study technology only." Mull stepped forward. "Professor, something's wrong with the Council's approach. They're ignoring human biological capabilities." "Why?" Dorn looked away. "That's not your concern. It is if they sent us here without full information," Trell argued. "Are we missing something? Does the Council already know about humans?" Dorn was silent for a long moment. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. "Some on the Council believe humans might be useful if they remain unaware of the wider galaxy." "Useful how?" Vex asked, suddenly suspicious. "As soldiers," Tom guessed, his eyes narrowing. "You want human fighters, don't you?" Professor Dorn's face showed shock, then anger. "How could you possibly know that?" "It's obvious," Tom said. "Throughout human history, advanced societies have used less advanced ones as fighters. The Romans did it. The British did it. The Americans did it. Why would aliens be any different?" The room fell silent. The 4 alien students looked at their professor with new understanding and growing horror. "Is it true?" Vex asked quietly. "Is that why the Council classified Earth as non-threatening? So they could someday use humans as weapons?" Dorn sank into a chair, suddenly looking tired. "Not the whole Council. Just a faction. The Military Directorate. They've been searching for alternatives in the war against the Void Collective." "The Void Collective?" Mull asked. "Our instructors never mentioned any war. It's been contained to the outer systems," Dorn explained. "But we're losing. The Collective's biotechnology is unlike anything we've faced. Our weapons are failing. Some believe we need new approaches, like using humans," Ren said, understanding now. Dorn nodded slowly. "Humans have qualities the Directorate finds valuable. Physical resilience, psychological adaptability, and a history of warfare that spans their entire existence. That's why they sent us," Trell realized. "Not just to study human technology, but to evaluate their potential as soldiers." "Without telling them?" Tom asked, anger in his voice. "You plan to recruit humans for a war they know nothing about." "The plan was more complicated," Dorn said. "Limited contact, technology exchanges, gradual introduction to galactic society, but with careful control of information." "Control," Tom repeated. "You mean lies." Vex stood up, his mind racing. "We need to tell someone. The Academic Council would never approve using an emerging species this way." "It's too late," Dorn said. "The Directorate monitored your unusual research activities. When you began studying human biology instead of technology, they became concerned. They're sending a containment team." "Containment?" Mull asked, suddenly afraid. "What does that mean?" Dorn wouldn't meet her eyes. "The Directorate can't risk humans learning about the galaxy before they're properly prepared, especially not with the insights you've uncovered." Tom understood first. "They're coming to silence us, to make sure I don't tell others, and to discipline you for exceeding your mission parameters," Dorn added. "When?" Trell demanded. 2 days from now. They're already on their way." The 5 aliens and 1 human looked at each other, the weight of the situation settling over them. "We have to warn people," Tom said. "My friends, the university, someone." "Who would believe you?" Dorn asked. "You'd be labeled insane." Ren, who had been quiet, finally spoke. "What about the others? Jack and Lisa? Do they suspect anything?" "I don't think so," Tom said. "But they're smart. They might have noticed things, like I did." Vex began pacing the room. "We need a plan. The Directorate can't be allowed to treat humans this way. It goes against everything the Galactic Charter stands for." "What can we do?" Mole asked. "We're just students." "But we're not alone," Vex said, looking at Tom. "We have proof now, a human who knows the truth, and we have our research showing that the classification system is fundamentally flawed." "The academic council would listen," Trell suggested, "if we could reach them." "The Directorate controls all communications from Earth," Dorn said, but then paused. Except the emergency beacon in my quarters. It connects directly to the council chamber. Then we use it, Vex decided. We send our research, with Tom as living proof of human intelligence and cooperation. Dorn shook his head. "The Directorate will know immediately. They'll accelerate their timeline." "Then we need to be ready," Trell said, a new determination in his voice. "For the first time in my life, I'm actually glad humans are as dangerous as they are." Tom looked at each of them. "I need to tell Jack and Lisa. They deserve to know, and we might need their help." "That's too risky," Dorn argued. "No," Ren said firmly. "Tom is right. If humans are to be respected as equals, we start now, with the truth. No more secrets." As they began forming their plan, a silent alarm flashed on Dorn's wrist device. His face went pale. "What is it?" Vex asked. "The containment team," Dorn whispered. "They're already here." The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Tom called Jack and Lisa with a simple message. "Emergency. Meet at the old science building. Tell no one." Meanwhile, the aliens gathered their research and prepared to make their stand. Professor Dorn, to everyone's surprise, worked alongside them. "I've been blind," he admitted as he helped Vex download their findings. "The Directorate promised we were helping both our people and humans. I believed them." When Jack and Lisa arrived, their faces showed shock as they learned the truth, but neither ran away or panicked. "So you're actually aliens," Jack said, studying their faces with new understanding. "That explains why you thought football was so strange." Lisa was more practical. "How many are coming after you? What weapons do they have? What's the plan?" Tom smiled at his friends. "See, this is what I was telling you about. Humans adapt quickly to new situations. They set up in the old science building's basement lab." Dorn's emergency beacon sat on a table, ready to transmit to the academic council. Their research was prepared. Proof that humans were not just technologically developing, but biologically exceptional. "The containment team will try to stop the transmission," Dorn warned. "They have weapons that can stun or kill." "So what's our defense?" Lisa asked. Vex looked at the three humans. "You are. The Directorate doesn't understand what humans can do. They see your technology as primitive, but they don't understand your adaptability." Jack grinned. "Good thing I was on the wrestling team." "And I've been rock climbing since I was 10, Lisa added. Tom looked at his friends with pride. "Humans have been improvising weapons and tactics since we picked up the first rock to throw at a predator. It's what we do." They prepared the lab using simple human tools and knowledge. Jack created traps using ropes and weights. Lisa mixed chemicals that could temporarily blind or confuse the containment team. Tom gathered information about the building's layout, planning escape routes and choke points. The aliens watched with growing respect as the humans worked. "They're not afraid," Mole whispered to Ren. "They should be terrified of advanced aliens coming to kill them, but they're just solving the problem." "That's what makes them special," Ren replied. "Not their strength or endurance, but their spirit." As night fell, they sensed rather than heard the containment team's arrival. Subtle vibrations in the air, a faint electronic hum. The building's power flickered. "They're here," Dorn said. Vex activated the beacon. "Now we just need to defend it long enough to transmit our full report." "How long?" Tom asked. 10 minutes. Jack took position by the main door. Lisa stood ready with her chemical mixtures. Tom stayed near the aliens, armed with a simple fire extinguisher that would blind and confuse in the enclosed space. The door exploded inward. 3 figures in sleek armor entered, carrying weapons unlike anything the humans had seen. Professor Dorn, the leader said, voice cold through a translator. You and your students are in violation of Directive 7. Surrender now. We're transmitting the truth to the Academic Council, Dorn replied. The Directorate's plans for Earth violate the Charter. Then you leave us no choice. What happened next would later enter both human and alien records. 3 humans with improvised weapons against trained soldiers with advanced technology. The humans should have lost immediately. They didn't. Jack used the tight spaces to his advantage, his wrestler's strength surprising the first soldier. Lys's chemical mixture temporarily blinded another. Tom used the building's layout, leading the third into a prepared trap. The aliens fought too, but it was the humans who turned the tide. Their quick thinking, their ability to adapt to unknown weapons, their sheer determination, all proved Vex's research correct. Humans weren't just physically strong. They were survivors in their very nature. When the transmission completed, alarms sounded on the containment team's equipment. More signals came from orbit. The Academic Council had received their message and responded immediately. Stand down, came a new voice over the soldiers' communicators, by order of the full council. Hours later, as council peacekeepers arrived to take control of the situation, Vex found Tom sitting outside, looking up at the stars. What happens now? Tom asked. Everything changes, Vex replied. The council knows the truth about humans now. Earth will be reclassified. There will be proper contact, honest exchange. Will we still be seen as potential weapons? Vex shook his head. Some will always fear what they don't understand. But our research shows something more important, that humans aren't just dangerous. You're brave, innovative, and loyal. The galaxy needs allies like that, not weapons. Tom smiled. So we'll join your galactic community as equals. Better than that, Vex said. As teachers, there's much the galaxy can learn from a species that faced such a harsh world and didn't just survive, but learned to thrive with compassion still intact. Above them, the stars shone with new promise, no longer distant and unreachable, but the beginning of humanity's next great adventure.